Hey, my name's James Wilson. Welcome to my channel. Now, in this video, I want to talk about the house price crash. And could we all be wrong? Could we all be wrong? Well, keep watching to the end. I'm going to give you some examples, some opinions, and I'd love to know what you think in the comments following that. Well, look, the UK has been on an absolute tear with property prices in the last few years. They've gone up at record speeds in 2020 and 2021. And even 2022, the beginning of the year, we're currently on an annual growth of around 12%. But things have changed, haven't they? Because we've had a pandemic. That has meant that the money printers have been on, and the UK government, if not all governments around the world, have just been printing money to get us through these difficult times. Now we're at the back of that. Something had to give, and that was inflation. And so inflation has been caused by the quantitative easing, it's been caused by the war in Ukraine, it's been caused by a number of different reasons, and all of those have combined to give us inflation like we haven't seen since the 1970s. You see, right now, inflation stands at 10%. Last month, it was 11%. And that is really making things even tougher for Joe Public. And logically, it makes sense that because people have less money, because interest rates have gone up, that people are going to have less money. And of course, affordability is going to be way lower on properties. So when the inflation is at all-time highs or very, very high, what you would normally do is you would raise the interest rates above the level of inflation, and that would quickly drive that inflation down. Now, it's a bit different this time round because the inflation isn't being caused by the business owners and consumers so much. It's more been stuff that's out of our control. I mean, we can't affect a pandemic. We can't affect a war that's causing the energy prices to go up. So just whacking the interest rates up isn't going to help as much as it normally would. However, interest rates are rising. We've just had 9 consecutive increases in a row, and that is starting to impact house prices. You see, in October and November, we did have drops in house prices. Now, those house prices there are from deals that happened in the summer. Those deals that were agreed in the summer were way before all the interest rate rises. They were way before the mini budget that we had. And so logically, it makes sense that we're probably going to expect a few more house price drops in 2023 and maybe for that sort of long period of time. Now, normally when we have house price declines, that will last from anywhere between 18 months and 2 years. So we're 2 months into this so far. So maybe we're looking at 16 months more before we start to see some growth. But there are some things that potentially could stop house prices dropping as much as maybe we're expecting, and I want to cover those. We've covered those in recent videos, but I just want to do a summary to give you all the information here together. Now, the mortgage bailout scheme is a government thing that was launched in the budget last month, and it didn't really get much attention. And I want to bring this to your attention. You see, what the government is saying that they will do is pay the interest on your mortgage if you need to go on to job seekers allowance, or the dole effectively, right? And so if you're unable to work, either you get fired or made redundant and you need to claim benefits, you'll then be able to apply to this scheme, and you will be able to switch your mortgage to interest only, because lenders have been told that they need to do that, right? So you'll be able to switch your mortgage to interest only, and the government will pay that interest for you for an indefinite amount of time. Now, at the end of that, when you get your job back, and maybe if the scheme ended for some reason, you would then owe the government however much money, right? And so maybe that could be 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, I don't know, however long you needed that. But what did happen is that you didn't get evicted from your property. So that's a very, very good scheme, which we didn't have in 2008, that is going to save a lot of homeowners if they know about it. So if you hear of friends or you get in difficulty, then talk to people about that scheme, because that could really, really help. Now, we've had a scheme like this before. The difference is this kicks in at 3 months, whereas the old scheme kicked in at something like 9 months, meaning by 9 months, if you haven't paid your mortgage for 9 months, you're probably going through the eviction process at that stage, right? So that's not a good thing. So what we need to understand is that's going to stop certain people getting repossessed. Other news is that the economy isn't shrinking as fast as they were expecting. The Bank of England were expecting that the economy would be shrinking at 0.3% over the last quarter. It went down 0.1%, which is better. It's still not great, but it is better than they were expecting. So that is a good indicator. Now, the bigger thing is in the Bank of England's meeting this week, what they were saying was that there was a divide, right? And so there were certain people that wanted to raise the interest rate 0.75%. That was a small fraction of people. There was a chunk of people that wanted to put it up 0.5%, which is where we were at. But interestingly, there were some people that wanted no change at all. And so that was really, really positive news. And so maybe in the next meeting, we might just get no interest rate rise or just 0.25%. And so when we were looking at the big potential crashes weeks ago, months ago, we were looking at a base rate, a Bank of England base rate of 6.5%. Now that figure's been revised down to 4.5%. Mortgages that are out on the market already, some of them have already got that priced in. So the interest rate rise this week, I don't think is going to change mortgages that you see on the market in January too much, because even last week when they knew the rates were going to go up, that like they did this week, even last week there were better deals coming onto the market. They wouldn't waste their time putting better deals on if they were expecting to just move those deals off, because it takes work and marketing and all of this stuff to go out to the brokers and the networks that are selling those deals for them. And so I just think that they're just moving a little slower in putting that up. So that is also going to help maybe slow down the drop, right? So this is all just an opinion, and I'm not saying this is definitely what's going to happen, but I just want to run by the scenarios with you guys. I think the mortgage bailout, if lots of people become aware of that, that's going to save a ton of people. If you save some repossessions, keep people in their houses, that's going to mean that there isn't people that are selling out of emergency, right? So they don't need to put the house on the market. We're going to go into some more detail, but while you've got this far in the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, guys. We're on 3,000 subscribers now. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers. 70% of you watching don't subscribe, so subscribe and hit the bell. Give me a quick like on the video as well, guys. That will really help with YouTube's algorithm. And so other things that will help is that, look, these houses that people own have been stress tested way more than they were in 2008. You see, in 2008, in the big crash, 50% of people that had a mortgage were on a self-cert. I had tons of those where you just went to a mortgage broker, you just told them how much you earned. There was no real checks done on you. And so there was a lot of people that couldn't afford a property. Now, in the current market, it's really difficult to get a mortgage. So the people that have one have been stress tested at higher interest rates. Now, maybe not as high as we're going to go, but there's going to be more people that can afford it. Other things are that energy prices might come down, and if that comes down, that means affordability will come back as well. And so inflation is starting to turn that curve now. We were at 11%, we're at 10%. Maybe we can get down to 8% by January, 7% by February. I don't know for certain, you don't know, but if we start seeing that inflation coming down, that's going to be a positive thing. Now, the Bank of England has said this week, the recession is still expected to be the longest recession in 100 years, but that's really important to understand that it's not going to be as deep as they were initially expecting. So people aren't going to be hit as hard. So I'm not saying house prices won't crash. I'm saying, could we be wrong? And that's what I want to start a conversation with you guys about today. So comment below and let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think that maybe the newspapers overblow it because they sell papers when they tell us the market's going to crash 50%? because that is what gets people reading. But we have also had analysts that have said even a month ago that they think that we might be in for a soft landing, which means a 5% to 10% drop. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to know what you think. Be respectful, be kind. Go and check out all the other content on my channel, including this video right here. Bye for now.